Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're diving deep into tech and specifically focusing on Apple and the smart home industry. You guys sent in a pretty fascinating collection of sources for this one. We have a YouTube video from Max Tech about what they think Apple might be launching in 2025. And there's some articles from 9 to 5 Mac and Vec Rumors about Siri and some new HomeKit devices that are out. And even a really thought-provoking piece on OpenAI and their quest for what they call artificial general intelligence. It looks like we're going to be covering a ton of potential changes coming in 2025. Everything from new gadgets that we can all buy to maybe even changes in the way that we work and live with AI.
It's really pretty crazy to think about how these different trends that we're seeing are starting to converge. I mean, who knows? By the end of this deep dive, we might be looking at a future that feels more like science fiction than reality.
Yeah, you're right. Let's start with something a little bit more tangible. All those cool new Apple products Max Tech is predicting for 2025. 25 new releases, that's what they're saying. I don't even know how they would fit all of those announcements into their normal events.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's going to be a jam-packed year.
Yeah.
One of the things that really caught my eye was the prediction that the iPhone SE4 is finally going to ditch the home button. I know you've been wanting a more modern design, but in a more affordable iPhone, so...
Yeah, that's definitely been on my wish list for a while now. But what about for those of us who are always looking for like the latest and greatest? Well, Max Tech is also saying there might be an iPhone 17 Pro camera redesign. They don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but it's definitely got everybody talking. Oh, and get this, they're even speculating that the Pro Max model might get rebranded as the Ultra.
I wonder how they're going to make the Ultra stand out from the Pro. Maybe it'll have some kind of next-level camera tech or a brand new feature that we haven't even thought of yet. It definitely seems like Apple is trying to push the limits of what smartphones can do.
Speaking of pushing limits, there are some rumors about a totally redesigned band system for the Apple Watch. And here's the thing, they're saying that the older bands might not work with it. So if you've spent a lot of money on your band collection, you might want to start saving up for an upgrade.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's a good reminder that even with all this exciting new technology, sometimes there are practical things we need to think about. Like, will all our old accessories still work? Will we need to buy new chargers? Things like that. These are all things tech enthusiasts like yourself need to be prepared for.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind. But wait, there's even more. Max Tech is also predicting new HomePods and AirPods Pro with health sensors built in, which could completely change the way we think about personal health monitoring. And it looks like the M5 chip is probably coming to the iPad Pros and MacBook Pros, so they're going to be even more powerful than they are now. But the one I'm really excited about is the possible Vision Pro Air.
Yeah, a lower-priced Vision Pro would make Apple's augmented reality headset a lot more affordable. That could be a big step toward getting more people to use it, and maybe even change the way we interact with technology every day.
Imagine having access to information and entertainment and even work stuff in a totally new way. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it could actually be happening in just a couple of years.
It really is pretty amazing to think about. While we're talking about augmented reality and how we interact with our devices, one of the sources you sent mentions a possible Apple TV stick. Do you think that could be a game changer for people who just want a simple and cheap way to stream stuff?
If it's anything like the Apple TV experience that we already have, it could definitely be a major contender, especially if it works seamlessly with all the other Apple devices and services. Imagine being able to control it with your iPhone or iPad, or even using Siri to find exactly what you want to watch.
It seems like Apple is really trying to cover all the bases.
Yeah.
From those super high-end devices like the Vision Pro, all the way to more affordable options like this rumored TV stick.
Yeah. It's a smart strategy, especially since more and more people are looking for ways to integrate technology into their lives. But we can't forget about the software side of things either. One of the articles you sent mentioned a recent lawsuit about Siri. Apparently, Apple had to pay a pretty big settlement because of a case about Siri interactions being recorded.
Yeah, that lawsuit brought up some pretty interesting questions about privacy, especially now with voice assistants being everywhere. Even though Apple says they don't use Siri data for marketing, it does make you wonder, how much our devices are actually listening to us and what's happening with all that information.
Yeah, definitely. That article from 9 to 5 Mac did say that Apple claims those conversations aren't being shared with advertisers. But it's still a good reminder that we need to be aware of what data our devices are collecting.
It's all about finding that balance between convenience and privacy.
Exactly. Well, speaking of finding balance, let's shift gears and talk about a company that's really making a name for itself in the smart home world, Aqara. They're expanding their line of HomeKit-compatible devices, and it seems like they're all about creating a really seamless and integrated smart home experience.
What's interesting to me is that Aqara isn't just making individual gadgets. They're building a whole ecosystem of devices that work together to make a truly intelligent home, like their Panel Hub S1 Plus. It's a touchscreen that basically acts as a central control hub for all your smart home devices.
It's like having a command center right there on your wall. You can control your lights, see what your security cameras are seeing, even connect devices from other brands using Matter. You know that new standard for smart home stuff?
And if you like having physical controls, they have the touchscreen dial V1. It's a physical dial that lets you really fine-tune things like dimming the lights or adjusting your thermostat. It's a great example of how Aqara is combining a intuitive design with really advanced features.
Oh, and don't forget about their new doorbell camera hub, G410.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty impressive specs like 2K resolution, a wider field of view, and even smart home false detections. You don't get all those annoying false alerts. It seems like they've thought of everything.
It's clear that Aqara is really paying attention to what smart home enthusiasts want. They're offering a bunch of different options so you can create a personalized and secure home environment. They're definitely a company to watch in this space.
I agree. Now get ready for a bit of a mind shift here because we're going to go into something a little more, well, futuristic. That 9 to 5 Mac article about OpenAI and their claim that they know how to build AGI.
Yeah.
Artificial general intelligence is kind of mind-blowing.
AGI is a fascinating concept. We're talking about AI that's as smart as humans, or maybe even smarter. This isn't just about voice assistants or algorithms that recommend products. This is about AI that can think critically, solve complex problems, and even learn and adapt like we do.
And OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says that we might even see these AI agents joining the workforce in the next few years. Imagine AI working alongside us, automating tasks, maybe even changing the types of jobs that exist in the future.
It would be a massive shift that could completely change the workforce and even society as a whole. It makes you think about what role humans are going to play in a world where AI can do so many of the things we do now.
Yeah, this is definitely uncharted territory. It feels like we're on the edge of a technological revolution that could change everything.
Yeah, it really is a lot to think about. On the one hand, we have all this incredible new tech coming out, faster devices, immersive experiences, a more connected world. But then on the other hand, we have AI and how it could change the workforce and even what it means to be human.
Yeah, it really is a lot to wrap your head around. But going back to Apple for a second, do you think this whole AGI thing could change Siri in the future? Like, could we actually see Siri become intelligent and conversational, capable of understanding more complicated things and learning our preferences over time?
It's definitely an interesting possibility. Apple hasn't said a whole lot about their AGI research, but they've definitely been investing in AI and machine learning. It's easy to imagine them using those advancements to make Siri more sophisticated and personalized.
Yeah, like imagine if Siri was more like a partner, helping us manage our day-to-day lives, anticipating our needs, and even offering advice based on our habits.
It would be a pretty big change from the Siri we know now. Siri can become a really powerful tool for productivity, entertainment, even personal growth. But like any powerful technology we have, to think of the ethical side of things. How do we make sure that a more intelligent Siri still respects our privacy and lets us make our own choices?
That's a really important point. And it's not just about Siri either. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to be talking about ethics, privacy, and control. It's something we all need to be thinking about, not just the tech companies.
For sure. But for now, let's get back to those gadgets and devices we were talking about. We were talking about Aqara and their HomeKit-compatible products. It's pretty cool to see how they're pushing the limits of smart home integration.
Yeah, they're really focusing on creating a seamless and personalized experience. Like imagine waking up and your lights slowly come on, your favorite music starts playing, and your coffee maker starts brewing, all without you having to do anything.
That's the kind of automation and personalization that used to be science fiction, but it's becoming more and more real. And it's not just about convenience either. Think about how smart homes can help people with disabilities or how they can save energy and be better for the environment.
It really is amazing to see how smart home technology is changing, from simple gadgets to a whole integrated system that can improve our lives in so many ways. But as our homes become more connected, security and privacy become even more important. Like we were talking about the Aqara doorbell camera with facial recognition. It's convenient, but it also brings up those questions about data collection and how that data might be used.
That's a valid concern. As we use all this cool new tech, we have to be careful about protecting our privacy and making sure our data is used responsibly. It's about demanding transparency from companies and making smart choices about what we buy.
Yeah, transparency is key. We need to know how our data is collected, stored, and used, and we have to be able to trust the companies that are developing these technologies. It's a two-way street. Companies need to be upfront and honest, and consumers need to be informed and involved in the conversation.
It's a partnership. The future of technology isn't something that's just happening to us. It's something we're all creating together. And that brings us back to that idea of the power dynamic in the tech world changing.
Right, you mentioned earlier that the rise of AI is changing who controls technological development. Can you talk a little more about that?
Well, for a long time, we've relied on just a few big tech companies to drive innovation. Companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft. They've had a massive impact on the technology we use and how we use it. But with AI, especially open source AI platforms, that power dynamic is shifting.
So you're saying we're moving away from a world where a few big companies control everything.
Exactly. We're seeing a democratization of AI where individuals and smaller companies now have access to the tools and resources they need to develop their own AI solutions.
Yeah.
It's exciting because it opens up all kinds of possibilities for innovation,
Yeah.
but it also creates new challenges. Like, how do we make sure AI is developed ethically and used responsibly when so many different people and companies are involved?
It sounds like we're moving into uncharted territory and there's no clear path forward.
In a way, that's true. But it's also an incredible time to be part of this conversation. By staying informed, asking questions, and holding the people developing and using AI accountable, we can shape the future of this technology together.
It's empowering to think that we as individuals can actually have a say in the future of AI. But honestly, it's also a bit overwhelming. There's so much information, so many rapid advancements, and so much uncertainty. It's hard to know where to even begin.
It starts with awareness. We need to understand both the good and the bad that AI can bring. We need to be aware of the ethical implications of how it's developed and used. And we need to be having these conversations, not just with experts, but with each other, to figure out what kind of future we want to create with AI.
It's a call to action then, to not just sit back and let technology happen to us, but to be active in shaping its future. It's a big responsibility, but it's also a huge opportunity.
Absolutely. And this idea of shifting power dynamics isn't just about AI, it's about the whole tech world. As we become more aware of how technology affects our lives, we're demanding more transparency, more control, and more accountability from the companies that make it.
We're seeing more and more people speaking out and demanding that tech companies prioritize privacy, sustainability, and ethics.
It's a good thing. It shows that we're not just going to accept whatever technology is thrown at us, we're starting to ask tough questions and demand better from the companies that control our digital lives.
It's a reminder that we actually have the power to influence how technology develops. We can choose to support companies that share our values and hold the ones that don't accountable for their actions.
That's a powerful message. And it leads us to a really important question. What role do companies like Apple play in all of this? They've built their brand on beautiful design, user-friendly products, and a strong focus on privacy. But can they keep up with this new era of decentralized technology and empowered consumers?
That's a question I really want to explore. We've talked about the new products Apple might release in 2025, but we haven't really talked about how they might respond to these bigger trends in tech. Are they embracing open source platforms? Are they collaborating with the AI community? Are they talking about ethical development and responsible use of technology?
Those are all good questions. And as we move into the last part of our deep dive, let's take a look at how Apple is positioning itself in this rapidly changing tech landscape. Are they leading the way, following the trends, or struggling to keep up? And what does that mean for you, the Apple enthusiast, who wants innovative and ethical technology?
Yeah, it feels like we're at this crossroads right now. We have Apple, this huge company known for its amazing designs and easy-to-use products. But then we have this whole wave of decentralized tech and AI that's changing the rules of the game. So where does Apple fit in?
That's the big question, isn't it? Apple has always been pretty secretive, especially when it comes to what they're planning for the future. But if you look at what they've been doing lately, there are some hints.
Okay, so let's start with Siri. We've talked about how Siri could become really intelligent with all these advancements in AGI, but right now it seems like Siri's still kind of behind compared to some other voice assistants.
Yeah, it's true that Siri hasn't had this huge jump in intelligence like we've seen with other AI. But Apple has been making Siri better all along, focusing on things like processing stuff on the device itself for privacy and making it work really well with their other products.
Right, because Apple has always been really big on privacy, and it seems like they're doing the same thing with AI.
Exactly. They're not trying to be the first ones out there with the most advanced AI. They're thinking about how it affects users' privacy and security. It's a more careful approach, but it fits with what Apple stands for.
So even though we probably won't see Siri suddenly become super smart overnight, we can expect Apple to keep making it better little by little, making sure it works seamlessly with their other devices and services.
And don't forget about how AI could improve other parts of the Apple experience. Like, think about AI-powered photo and video editing tools, or personalized health recommendations from your Apple Watch data, or even intelligent automation that makes our daily lives easier.
Now you're talking. Those are the kinds of things that would actually make a difference for people. But what about this whole decentralized technology thing and open source platforms? Is Apple getting on board with that?
It's tough to say. Apple has always had a very closed system. They control pretty much everything about the hardware and software, but they've also shown that they can change. Like with HomeKit.
Their platform for smart home devices.
Yeah, with HomeKit, Apple has actually opened up to other developers. So now there are tons of smart home products that work with HomeKit. It shows that they're willing to work with others and use industry standards when it's good for their users.
That's good to hear. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier about how consumers have power. When people demand open platforms and the ability to connect different devices, companies like Apple have to listen.
Exactly. Consumers are becoming more knowledgeable about technology, and they're speaking up about what they want. They want seamless integration control over their data and technology that reflects their values.
So what does all this mean for the Apple fans out there?
It means you have a voice. You can actually influence what Apple does by choosing products that prioritize privacy and sustainability, by demanding open platforms and interoperability, and by supporting developers who are making ethical and innovative solutions.
It's like a reminder that we're not just stuck with whatever technology is given to us. We can help shape the future of technology through our choices, our voices, and our actions.
That's a great way to put it. As we finish up this deep dive into Apple and the smart home, I think the biggest takeaway is this: stay curious, stay informed, and stay involved. The world of tech is always changing, and it's up to all of us to make sure that technology is used to make the world a better place.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the future of tech, and until next time, stay curious.